Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Yuck Cast. I'm here with Shake and Bake Cullenberger, and we have an exclusive guest today, an exclusive interview with NBA2KLeague Star, formerly known as ThatKiddKuda, now known as Adam1st, a good friend of mine, a good friend of everybody here. He's here with us today, going to be talking about the league and his journey coming into the league. So, Kuda, Adam, what's up, boy?
What's up, man? Nothing much, bro. How you guys doing?
We good. Where's Berg?
Yo, Berg, that's where you talk. That's your cue, buddy.
I'm doing great, guys. How's
enjoying your weekend?
On this lovely day?
I feel like Berg is the guest on this podcast.
Right?
Yo, Berg's a guest on every podcast.
No, cut that out. Run it.
Yo, I've never done an interview before. Actually, I interviewed Bud's bitch ass once. So.
Yo, how you just gonna call him a bitch ass on the podcast? Damn.
You gotta leave it in there.
I'm gonna edit it out.
How you gonna do
that? Shout out to Bud 22089, good friend of the show.
Kuda, let us know, how was draft day? Just give us a quick rundown, your thoughts, just what you were thinking the entire time. Just why don't you just let us know what you thought of it all?
Yeah, no, draft day, it was really cool. I was up super early. I was up at like 5:30. Yeah, and my car wasn't even getting here till 8, but I was just thinking about it so much that I woke up and, I had a whole morning to get ready, and by the time we got into the city, everything started to happen pretty fast. So we went to the hotel, met up with all the players, and then we started taking shuttles. Actually, we walked, but some people had shuttles. I walked over to the garden. It was like right on the same block, so it was cool. We got there, and it was in the Hulu Theater, so they basically just had everybody sit down, and they sort of gave us a quick run through. And then from there, the clock was just ticking, honestly. And I think we got there around like 11:30, and the draft started at 1. But it went by so fast. And at about 12:30, we started taking like the group pictures that you guys saw on the stage with everyone.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was funny. Some people weren't really ready for it, a couple of them. And then everybody else was like smiling. And then I think it was Dimes in one of the pictures. He was just like not even looking at the camera, and they posted it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
No, the craziest part was that they had us do that like 30 minutes before the draft actually started, but it carried over right into the draft. So we didn't really like, we had prep time, but then we took the photo, and then after the photo we had like we had no prep time. So we just went back to our chairs, and then the draft literally started. It went on air like a few minutes later.
Now, do you know why the draft was like, I think it was like maybe 10 to 15 minutes late? Was just because, I don't know why, we didn't, because we couldn't see anything, but we were waiting, and it just never went live. I don't know if it was like Twitch
well, like I
said,
something. I think the picture ran a little bit longer than anticipated. And then a few minutes after that, I guess they were just getting some broadcast stuff sorted out. I couldn't really tell.
Probably
we were in the front, so all this stuff was going on behind me. Yeah. But yeah, no, it started up super quick, and then from there it was just like pick after pick after pick. So
now, why don't we get up into the actual draft? So now you could have gone anywhere. You were probably thinking, I mean, if it was me in the draft, I'm thinking, hey, I'm hoping I'm going the first round. You got the Knicks at 9. You might have thought, hey, maybe let's hope New York picks me here. They instead picked Goofy. And what would you probably be thinking right about then? Because I mean, I'm sure that's where you wanted to go. What were you really thinking during that time?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like, it's sort of a thing where I've never been a part of. Yeah, I've never been a part of something like that before. So to just jump right into it, it was definitely like, there was a lot of nerves and like anxiety going on. But it was in a good way. It was like excitement, sort of. The Knicks are definitely a team that, you know what I mean. I'm like a hometown kid, and I've been a lifelong fan. So it's sort of, they were that team when I heard they were first a part of the inaugural season. I was like, okay, I got to do.
Months ago, that was way
I have to do whatever I can to make sure that they know who I am and they know what I can bring. So I thought I did a pretty decent job of making that known publicly, or campaigning. I had a few of my friends, like Nick, for example. You and Nick were big on the social stuff. So yeah, so that definitely helped out. When they got up, the thing about it is, I know in the real drafts, like in the real professional sports leagues, a lot of times the players have agents or something that can sort of tell them like, look, I think you're projected to go, here, or this team really, really wants you. This was totally different. You had no really communication with the teams at all after the interview was over. And in the interviews, you never got any confirmation or any, there was never a heads up, like, look, you're our guy. at least as far as I'm aware.
Yep.
So with that said, it was sort of just hope, right? It's like you're sitting there, and the first 8 teams passed up, and then the 9th team came up, which was the Knicks, and I was sitting there. I was really hoping it was me. It was, you know what I mean? I think you always want to have that self-confidence where you're like, okay, I deserve to be whatever pick, or you know what I mean? You always want to make sure you have that confidence in yourself. So I definitely had it, and it's not like I was saying, oh, this is definitely me, but it was definitely like, okay, I hope this is me, and you know what I mean? I'd be super excited if it was. So it ended up not being me, but it was funny because it was probably one of my only friends in the entire draft up to that point, and we actually walked into the Garden together. We were sitting next to each other during the draft. So it was crazy when it happened because he got announced and he was literally right on my side. So I couldn't be happier for him. You know what I mean? He definitely deserves that recognition to be the first round pick. And it was exciting. And then from there, from the first round up until to when I actually got drafted, I'm not gonna lie, like it was.
That's a long wait,
it
man.
Sucked. Yeah, it sucked. Like I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it and be like, oh yeah, it was the greatest thing ever. No, it was rough. It was a lot of hours. It was like 4 to 5 hours. I was dehydrated.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that was like 3 hours because I was watching the draft. I watched the first round, a little bit in the second round, and then I was like, man, I got stuff to do. I gotta go grocery shopping. I went grocery shopping, came back. The draft is still going. It's the 3rd round still. I was like, man. I was gone for 1 round, and I'm like, dang, Kuda's still there. Hasn't been picked yet. Man, he must be dying. Like, I was dying just at home watching, and I was like, man, it's a long draft. So that must have been nerve-wracking. I can imagine that.
I think one of the biggest things for me is in between every pick or every round up until I got drafted was I would check social media on my Twitter specifically,
that must
in
be crazy.
the mentions and interactions I had. There was so much like support and excitement in there, even when I wouldn't get drafted or even when I wouldn't get picked or my name wouldn't be called. The amount of people in there, like between my friends and just like all these amazing fans and people that have been following me for so long.
It was going crazy.
And then I didn't check the Twitch tab, but I saw after there was some like crazy statistics about it, and so a lot of people, there were like a lot of people behind me, which just meant so much because I've been in the community for so long. So to have that support, like when it really matters or like when you really need it, in the case that I did when I wouldn't get drafted and I checked social, but just to see people still uplifting me and telling me like, okay, you got this, bro. You know, everything happens for a reason. God has a plan for you. So when I saw stuff like that, those tweets, they kept me going, and you know what I mean, they helped me last for as long as I did. So
yeah, I mean, the good thing I would say is at least you weren't sitting there knowing like not knowing if you get drafted. You knew you were getting drafted somewhere.
Yeah.
Versus like some of those NFL, NBA guys, they don't even know if they're gonna get drafted, which I that's got to amp it up to like even another level. But the draft process, it seemed pretty crazy. So what kind of happened after the draft? Like once you got drafted, they called your name, you went up there, you grabbed the hat, all the pictures and everything. What happened after that? They did the interview, but then I don't really know what went on after that at all for the rest of the day. Can you like talk about that a little bit more? Maybe just some of the experiences you guys had.
Yeah, so in terms of like how I felt like when I got drafted and stuff, it happened so fast, and I think that's like in part because of like the wait or how long it took. But when it actually happened, it went by super quick, and I can't even tell you what the managing director Brendan said to me. I can't even really recall what the interviewer had asked. But all I know is as soon as I got off that stage, it finally hit. Like it didn't hit in the moment, which is so weird, but it hit as soon as I got off the stage, and I got introduced to one of the Knicks gaming staff, and she introduced herself and said, hey, look, congratulations, the team's in the back, we're gonna go ahead and bring you over here. There was sort of this press media area in the back with a bunch of backdrops and interviewers and stuff, so we went ahead and just did an interview with a reporter. I know his name is Jeff. I actually met him a while back at an NBA live stream I did that we like co-hosted together. So it was cool. It's sort of that like familiarity. He was involved with the league. So yeah, we had an interview and we talked about, you know, the feelings and what was going through my head and stuff. And then right after that, at least for our team, we got taken to another part of MSG, which was super cool. It was like this big like theater area, and the team was there. There was this whole staff, and it was just super like just humbling just to meet everyone, and everyone was like, yo, congratulations, like we really wanted you, and we're so happy to have you.
And you're with your teammates, and you guys are getting a connection, and you're gelling.
Right, and you know what I mean? The live stream is still going on, so you're waiting for your next pick. And then, the photographers were there. We were taking headshots, and there was this interview that we did where they asked like a bunch of just sort of like fun questions about yourself and about your life. So it was like at first when it happened, it was just, you know what I mean? It went by so quick, and then everything sort of just played out the way it did, and you kind of just got familiar with people. And it's crazy with the Knicks, especially. I think in part because I wanted to be part of that organization so bad. When it finally happened, and when we went to the back,
that's a dream come true. Yeah,
you're
when
living
in the dream.
Everyone, right? And they're all, of course, in the Knicks gaming gear and in the merch and stuff. When that happened, and then that's like really the moment I realized, I was like, wow, this is like incredible. Like it was such an amazing just experience, just being in the back, and for them to be as excited for you as you are for them. You know what I mean? Sort of that like exchange where it's like, wow, like this is actually happening. So that was sort of the behind the scenes. And then from there we had this amazing team dinner at Tao in New York, which is an unbelievable restaurant. And so everyone was there. It was really cool. They actually extended the invite out to my family, so my family was able to come.
Oh, that's sweet.
I got to meet Jerry Ferrara, which is just someone I've been looking up to since Entourage, really. So for him to, you know what I mean, meet me, he gave me this big hug, and he said, listen, he's like, we had a plan for you, and it worked out. You know what I mean? It was a risk, and it worked out, so I couldn't be happier. And then
I saw the interview he did on ESPN, kind of. Darren Rovell did kind of like a piece on just the Knicks gaming, because he was actually in the draft room, and that was kind of cool too. They talked about how they were picking Goofy at number 1, and he talked about some stuff like that and just what was going on in the room and the call, and that's pretty cool. And I'm sure it was crazy to meet Jerry as well, and knowing that he was so involved in the draft and that he cares so much about it. That's a cool feeling.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's like an amazing actor, and for him to be so hands-on, for him to be the one making the picks, just speaks volumes to his character and how dedicated he actually is to this. And then one other really cool thing too is that Latrell Sprewell came out, who's just a Knicks legend, and he sat literally right in front of me at dinner, and we talked for almost an hour about the industry and about everything from streaming to basketball to really anything you can think of. So that night was just, you know what I mean? It may not, like the day itself may not have started off the way I hoped it would.
Expected,
Yeah, but the way it actually happened, I couldn't have asked for any other scenario. So I was super happy and excited and just humbled.
So by then, what time are we talking? I hate to interrupt you, Nick, but like what time are we talking? You're at dinner. Is this like 6, 7? Because it's got to be a long day. Again, you got up at 5, and you've been ready, you've been dressed all day.
Yeah.
That's a long day, right?
Funny you ask. Like I said, I was up like super early. I was up at like 5 in the day, and I hadn't eaten anything because I didn't want to eat anything in the morning. So I didn't want to possibly like upset my stomach or nerves or whatever.
During the draft.
So I literally didn't eat up until dinner, which was I think at about 7:30, maybe 8. And I hadn't even, I barely had water up until that point. Like I said, my lips are like still chapped from that night and from that day. Of how like dehydrated it was, but it went on pretty late. And then like I said, Tao has this other spot where it's sort of like a party area, and a lot of the people who got drafted were there. Some managers were there. Ronnie 2K was there, Brendan. So the night itself wrapped up at about midnight. And I finally got home, and you know what I mean? Especially when you get home, coming in from the city and knowing that the next time you go back, the next time you go back into the city, it's go time. And you know, like I said, I couldn't have asked for a better scenario or organization or just really team to be on.
True.
Yeah, it had to be a big relief after talking to Jerry after the whole draft went down, because I know sitting through the draft, obviously you wanted to go number 1 to the Knicks. You wanted to be their first-round pick, and then you wanted to be their second, then you wanted to be their third. But then after the draft, when you finally talked to Jerry and heard him out and heard everything, it was like there was a plan for you, and they essentially just did what they did so you could be put around the best teammates possible. So I'm sure that was a huge relief for you. Moving on to some more questions, though. Talking about the league, what do you think the league needs to do in order to be successful? In order for this inaugural season of the 2K League to be successful, what do you think they need to do?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is going to stem from the content they look to produce. I think the video space is just huge right now in the world and in entertainment. So for this industry to really evolve, and especially this league for its inaugural season, I think there's going to have to be something created on the back end that's going to make viewers want to tune in to buy into the stories or the personalities or whatever the case may be. I don't necessarily know. It's hard to say if the game itself is going to take care of that. I don't think it will, just because in other stuff it doesn't. In sports, it's rare that the game itself takes care of everything. A lot of times people want to see for the players or for the rivalries that go on. So if there's a way that the league can engage the audience into the 102 that are involved, and also the teams and the staff, I think it's going to be the number one way for it to really, hopefully, sort of connect with the younger audience and the new generation of kids coming up now, which I think is going to be probably their target audience.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's important that they get that content going, get people involved, try to make personalities out of the individuals who haven't already really done that, because I know there's a lot of guys in that area. All right, so on to more of gameplay for you. Obviously, you are a point guard. With you being a point guard, you're expected to be like the leader of the team, essentially like the quarterback of the basketball game, so to say. So how are you going to lead your team as the point guard?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is going to start with off-the-court stuff, and one way I'm looking to sort of engage my teammates, like you said, is through content that I'm going to produce on my own and getting them involved and engaged with my videos, and hopefully that can help build relationships. And I think that chemistry is going to really be the biggest part, and it's going to be the difference between the best teams in the league and the not so good ones. So off the court is for sure half the battle, and then in terms of when you're actually playing, I think communication is the biggest thing. And when stuff may not be going your way, because there's going to be times where stuff does not go your way, those are going to be the telling moments where, as a point guard, it's something I'm accustomed to doing and making sure everyone's on the same page. And if someone messes up or if something goes wrong, we make sure that, yeah, no, it's okay to hold someone accountable, but there's no grudges to be had in the middle of a game, or there's no negativity to be spread around. I think that you need to make sure, as that leader, as that point guard, that everyone at all times feels involved, and that's something that I think I'm really good at doing. At least I'd like to think I am. So I'm hoping to carry that over, and hopefully, like I said, just everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, that's key. I mean, keeping everyone on the same page, knowing where everybody's head's at, especially going into game days and things like that, or tournaments even, because there are going to be some of those, which is pretty crazy. I saw the breakdown, and basically you can, if you, what is it, top 7 teams make the playoffs, and then the 8th team is basically who wins the last tournament, I think. Is that how it works? Anyone?
I'm not sure. I just know that there's $1 million prize pool, essentially.
Yeah, that's true. There's definitely big money to be made. I mean, obviously you got your salary, you got sponsorships, you got so much stuff going around. One thing we want to ask, do you know anything about where you're going to be living, and have they seen or heard anything like that, and kind of got an update on that situation?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly where yet, but I think the city is going to be in Jersey City. So it's still going to be super close to Manhattan or Madison Square Garden, but I don't believe it's going to be directly like in that area yet. But Jersey City, like I said, it's like right on the border between New York and New Jersey. So I think that's where everything's headed, but I'm sure we'll find out in the next few days. That's
going to be crazy, because I know right before we hopped on and recorded this, we saw the Kings tweeted out what looked like a castle out in California. Like, that looked crazy. And I guess their team's going to be living there. And then we've seen some of the other ones. I think we've seen, who was it? The
Wizards.
The Mavericks tweeted out some stuff, too. They tweeted out their little... They were like mock-ups.
They tweeted out like training facilities.
Yeah, but they tweeted out like they had Twitch pods and a whole bunch of cool, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And it's cool seeing that kind of stuff, and it's going to be even crazier when you get to see, the content, the vlogs from behind the scenes, and everyone's moving in, everyone's getting ready, and that stuff's going to be so cool.
Yeah, I really hope a lot of the players, I know obviously you're going to take advantage of that, and I know there's going to be a few who do, but I hope most of them really look into taking advantage of the opportunity that they're given, because they're really being put on a platform to take advantage of, and I think, I don't know, it'd be silly for them to not take advantage of the platform they're being put on and try to make the most of it.
Let's talk about something a little dicey here. So, obviously, I'm sure you got a lot of positive support. Did you really see anything negative? I did actually see something a little negative here. That was from Brian Mazik. He does a lot of stuff covering the league, and he actually said at one point that he had some questions on how committed you were to esports, just because you got so much going on for you. You got your YouTube, and obviously you're a Twitch partner, I'm pretty sure, as well. So you could capitalize a lot of things, and he kind of questions your, how committed you are. What do you really have to say to that, and I guess, and to those who might be questioning maybe just, hey, he's not that great of a player, he's just in it because of his YouTube or his following, which I think is kind of silly because I think you're the only YouTuber in. But what do you really have to say on, I guess, that part?
Right. I don't know. I think the way you just said, I think the whole thing is just silly in itself because there's this really bad societal misconception about just kids these days or our generation, where a lot of people think that you have to only do one thing and that's it. I've been creating content for probably 9 years now, since I was 10 years old, where I've just been making, whether it's homemade videos or actual videos for the internet. And in between that, of course, I went to school. So I spent 6 to 8 hours a day going to school. And when I'd come home and I'd finish my quote-unquote job for the day, which was my education, yep, I would create content. So I don't see this as anything different. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the way I do things. But when I know for a fact that I'm gonna go into this league and I'm gonna put my all into it for the hours that are required out of me to make sure that my team is winning. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm gonna be creating content, and I'm going to be creating the best content in the league. So for me, it's really just a matter of applying myself, which I know how to do, and that's not really something I'm worried about. Yeah, no, I think that's just going to be something that, you know what I mean? I guess time will tell, and I could probably show you better than I can tell you.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like it's just going to be time management, too, for some of those things. Because, I mean, you've always done a lot of things. You've edited for people. You've done graphics. Just, I mean, in your free time. I remember we were just chilling a while back, and you'd be like, yo, check out this painting I did or whatever on Photoshop, where you took a painting, and what did you do to it? You made it black and white and stuff. I don't know, it was crazy.
Yeah, I was really into digital coloring for a while.
You do a lot of stuff like that, yeah.
I'd take old Marilyn Monroe pictures. And
I was just gonna say, Marilyn
they
Monroe.
were super cool though.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. But yeah,
sick.
no, that's just what I'm speaking about. It's sort of like that thing where, like I said, it's just this societal thing where it's oh my god, he's doing more than one thing. It's what do you mean I'm doing more? Of course I'm doing it. I'm not gonna sleep.
It's his life. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping 8 hours a day to work for 6 and do nothing for the other 10.
Exactly.
I'm sleeping 8 hours a day,
that's a good point,
working for 6, and then also trying to work for the other 10. I think that's just silly. It just doesn't make sense. There's no reason why you should limit yourself in what you do.
Good point. There's multiple
I don't think
avenues.
People have this weird idea of YouTubers that all they do is they wake up, make videos, and go to bed. That's all they do.
Well, because some do that. That's why I think it's because some are that way. But I mean, other people have. Trust me, there's definitely people who do that. And they're grinding, and that's nothing against them too. That's how some people want to live. Other people want to live differently. Some people want to do more than one thing and want to follow different avenues. And I mean, some people like to just enjoy life sometimes too. So, yeah, I don't think it's like that.
I just think it's crazy because I know, speaking for Adam, he's been doing YouTube for a while now while doing school, while also doing a bunch of graphic work for other people. And then I think it was last year he had one of the top Pro-Am teams in the whole league. He had the top Pro-Am team for a lot of time in the whole league. So he's proven that he's been able to spend time doing a lot of other things while continuing to be successful at 2K. I thought that was kind of silly.
While still grinding Pro-Am nonstop too. You were doing them Pro-Am tournaments, you were doing all that stuff. You were behind the scenes doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the crazy part is that I still wasn't even in terms of that whole scene, I wasn't even really applying myself or committing to. I'd play for two 2 to 3 hours at most a night with my friends.
Exactly.
And, you know what I mean? That was enough for, like, I know the game. Like, that's just another thing, too, where it's sort of like, if you've been playing 2K for long, really just any game, it doesn't matter what edition it is, you're going to know pretty much the ins and outs of it. So you're telling me I'm going to go from having the #1 team for an entire spring and qualifying for the $250,000 tournament by playing maybe 2 to 3 hours a day to now doing it and getting paid for it to between 6 and 8 hours a day, and you don't think that I'm gonna, you know what I mean? It's just
a commitment.
It's just a misconception, and it's something that, like I said, I'll be able to show you better than I could tell you. So time will tell.
The season will start pretty soon, I'm pretty sure, right? There's got to be probably a few weeks of practice moving in.
The top of May, I believe, is the kickoff tournament.
It's a few weeks away.
And then
That's not far.
and then from there, the regular season will begin.
That's
so
crazy.
you guaranteeing a win in the kickoff tournament?
I'm sorry, I was drinking water.
Are you guaranteeing a win in the kickoff tournament? Oh.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think we're gonna go in there being one of the best teams just because I already have some really good chemistry with our first round pick, and the rest of the team, like the locker room in itself, just. Everyone's already clicking, everyone's already on the same page. So once we start actually playing and, you know what I mean, getting to hang out in person and, you know what I mean, just starting to get to know each other, I think that we're going to even be able to build even better chemistry. And going into it, I know we're all like good at the actual game. I don't see why we can't win. So
I got something good here. So now, one thing I noticed while watching the draft, a lot of the guys were, after they kind of got passed up by a couple teams, or they felt like they should have gone here and they went there, they kind of said, you know, hey, they better watch out. And I mean, I'm sure you didn't really have that because you got picked by the team you wanted to go to. So what might you be using for some like extra motivation, kind of like those guys are?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that motivation for me, I think that just comes from myself. I think it's just something where it's like I have the platform now and I have an opportunity or an even bigger platform than what I was previously doing to hopefully like inspire and to just do some like really, really cool stuff. So I think it's sort of that pressure that I'm putting on myself. I've never been someone who needs outside sources to say something about me or to put pressure on me. That's just extra noise. I think that pressure, or at least I think good pressure that you want is pressure that you put on yourself that you hope to hopefully carry out, but it's something that stems from inside of you. So that's
to just succeed
sort of
and
my
be the
mentality.
best you, basically, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that's like the most important thing. It's just like, I don't know, I think that you want to make sure at all times you're trying to be the best you that you can be. So yeah, I think it's good to motivate yourself. You know what I mean? You don't have to do stuff for other people. I don't need to prove anyone right, and I don't need to prove anyone wrong besides myself. So,
yo, Berg, why don't you kick off this rapid fire question segment? We got a few quick questions, nothing too crazy, just rapid fire. Kick it off, Berg.
What questions you got?
Bro, you said you had the joint open.
It's literally on the dock, fam.
You fucking suck. You haven't talked the whole podcast.
Y'all been cooking.
Hit
Y'all
the rapid
No,
fire.
you're not even using... What mic are you using right now?
You guys are saying there's someone else in this podcast?
Yeah, that is.
Yes,
Hit us
we
with the
usually
rapid
have
fire.
3 members.
That's what you doing? Alright. You been cooking.
I had
Alright,
no
let's
idea.
try this
Oh,
again.
we got more questions.
Let's try this again. What else do we have really that's major
we
questions?
have a lot more questions.
I feel like we covered pretty much all of the big questions.
Nah, there's a bunch of ones.
Like what?
I'll ask some more before we get into the rapid fire that Berg's gonna do, by the way. Obviously, this is a big commitment. You're going to be putting in a lot of time into this, and I know you're a family man. You love your family, you're extremely close to your family. So how does your family feel about this whole situation, about you playing 2K for a living?
Yeah, no, they're super supportive. Like I said, I've been creating content for forever. I've been making money off of YouTube since I was barely a teenager. So my mom, like, you know what I mean? She sort of, like, she grew to get accustomed to that really early on in my life.
Parents
so
just
for
to do
this
stuff.
yeah, no, this is just, you know what I mean? It's just sort of how it's playing out, that it happens to be that now I'm playing 2K at a more professional level. So they're super supportive. They're super great.
And I'm sure they were
That's
loving
good.
the draft, too, everything. I'm sure they were loving that crazy experience.
Yeah, no, my mom loved it. Besides the wait. But
Yeah, that part.
She loved the experience.
Yeah, that had to be annoying. Cause I was just sitting in my crib watching the whole thing.
It was
and
long.
It was like 7 hours. Yeah, I was like, all right, this has got to be wrapping up soon. Another question I have for you is, what will you miss the most about living at home?
Definitely the cooking for sure. I come from like a really good family of like cooks. Like my grandpa was like a 5-star chef in like New York, and that carried down to my mom and then my dad. So I think that I'm probably gonna really miss the food.
Now, do you guys think, like, are you guys gonna have someone who might be able to cook for you guys? Like, is that like a thing? Like, I know that's a thing for like NBA players.
That'd be really cool though, but I don't expect that.
That would be.
I know this guy. His name's Nick. Jerry, if you're listening.
Ask him what he'll miss the least. Go for it.
Berg, you know you can ask, right?
Right?
Nah, but like, I'm not in the flow to cover.
Nah,
like,
just jump in.
You just jump in the convo and said it. Like, what?
Just jump in. Just jump in.
All right, so Berg wants to know, what are you going to miss the least about home?
It's probably not going to be on the stuff on the inside. It's probably just going to be because I've been in this town for so long. I'm kind of just excited to get out. So I'm probably going to, I think at least, I don't know, I won't know until I'm actually gone. But I think I'm going to probably miss just like the area the least.
So yeah, just like
yeah, but no, it's like
new.
I love my town. Like, you know what I mean? I come from
but it's just like,
sort of just like
you
I'm
want to
ready
get out of your comfort zone.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that for sure.
Will this be your first time kind of moving out and living on your own?
Yeah, well, yeah, so I'm only 19, and I've been doing university. I go to Penn State. I attend the World Campus there, which is just their online campus. So I never really got to move out to dorm rooms or college stuff. I had an opportunity to move out a little while ago with some really good YouTube buds of mine, but that just didn't work out. So this is actually going to be my first time, 19 years old, moving out. So I'm pretty excited.
What do you need out of your teammates to be successful this season?
What do I need out of my teammates to be successful? I think just for everyone to, I think that I don't see us having a problem with this, but just make sure everyone has, or doesn't have an ego, I should say, and make sure that everyone's willing to always get better. I think that's like one of the biggest things in anything you do in life, in any workplace environment, is that to never get comfortable and always know that there's room for improvement.
Yeah, I feel like that's very important in a team environment. And my last question before we move on to the rapid fire is, what type of content are you looking to create during your 6 months in the league?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. I'm just looking to really just document what life is going to be like as a 19-year-old kid who makes YouTube videos, who plays for the Knicks, and who's living out on his own for the first time. So you can take that for what you will. It's just going to be a bunch of stuff ranging from behind the scenes at home to tips and tricks. I don't know. It's going to be stuff that I'll probably come up with as we go along. But I definitely have some like foundations like in my brain ready for stuff that I want to do. So I think you'll just have to wait and see.
Obviously, if you want a quick teaser of that stuff too, you probably want to check out his Twitter. I know you did a quick video that I'm assuming you shot on your phone at just draft day, and that was pretty dope too. So be sure to check that out. It's on his Twitter. Do you got it pinned or anything like that? I'm sure you do. You gotta have that pinned.
It's not pinned, but you can find it on my Twitter at I am Adamthe1st.
There you go. That's a good plug. I like that. Let's jump to the next segment, the last one. Berg, hit us with the rapid fire questions. I know you've been waiting. You've been sitting back, chilling. Now you got the rapid fire cooking for us.
All right, Adam. Got some quick rapid fires for you, buddy.
Wait, who is this? I haven't heard from you like the entire time. Who is this talking?
I am the third member of the Yuck Cast.
Oh, okay.
The Cullenberg.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, some quick questions. How many wins do you expect in the first season?
As many as we can get.
I don't even know
how many games are y'all playing? Do you know?
Well, that's the thing is that I think that there's 14 regular season games. I don't know how many tournament games. So I'd like to say all of them, but I literally don't know how many there are. So literally
so
as
out of
many
14
as we can,
regular season games, how many wins can you guarantee me?
I think I can guarantee you. I want to guarantee 12.
That's pretty good.
12.
That's
12 and 2.
12 for 2. That's a pretty good hit rate.
And there's still the tournaments too. There's still the tournaments as well.
Next question.
Yeah.
How many tournament wins can we expect? You think you guys can win a big one?
Yeah, I think we're gonna be able to hopefully hold down the 3 regular season ones, and then of course I think there's the end of the season, the championship or the playoff. The playoff's the biggest one, so that's the one, you know what I mean, we're really chasing after. But I think to get there, we're gonna have to make sure we compete our best in the first 3.
Okay. How many points do you think you'll average?
I think somewhere around or over 20, I think would be reasonable, pending the gameplay.
Do we know the quarter length, how it's going to be?
No, that's what I'm saying is that we literally have no idea about the context of the game, so it's hard to sort of predict that. But I think that I'm going to hopefully do my part as a point guard to score and to facilitate. So.
Okay. Now, I know you guys haven't played a game as a team yet, but it's a tie game. Shot clock's winding down. Last shot. Who do you want taking it?
That's a tough one. I think it's really just going to come down to the best shot available. I don't think that any of us really have the ego to be like, oh, this is definitely me. So I think the best shot available, the best shot we can get.
I like
So you can't always get the best shot is what you're saying.
I think that I'm always going to put myself in a position to hopefully give myself the opportunity to get a good look. But if I can't, then, you know what I mean? Whatever the best look is in that moment.
Okay. Pre-game playlist. What you got for me?
I think Baka Not Nice.
Ooh.
Drake.
Definitely.
Okay.
And probably a mixture of J. Cole and some upbeat Weekend.
No Cardi B or nothing like that?
Nah, I don't know. My playlist is weird. I keep it like Drake and then sort of like J. Cole Weekend. No, wow. I mean like it's like small. Like it's really just a select artists, like barely a handful.
Last one. This is for Nick. What you watching on Netflix? What you watching?
What you watching?
All right. So if it's just Netflix, probably Stranger Things and The 100.
The 100. Lit.
But if it's like all streaming services, I love Game of Thrones and I'm a huge Entourage fan for HBO. So.
Do you have anything you really want to say to anyone going, like, I guess, for the next season of the 2K League, the draft, everything like that? What should they do over the next year to improve their game? Is it just practicing, playing, watching the streams, tutorials, and, I mean, obviously watching the league, I would assume. But any words of advice you'd have to say for guys who didn't make the cut this year, they didn't make the 250 or even the 102, and are going to be one of those hundreds of thousands, I guess, going for it next year?
Yeah, well, I think you sort of like answered part of it yourself. Is to just, you know what I mean, stay in tune with the league and follow it and stuff. But I think besides that, it's going to come down to playing and, you know what I mean, trying to be the best that you can be to hopefully get the attention of the league and some scouts and some teams. I think another big thing that really goes unnoticed or really just underrated, I guess, in this entire environment is to just for people to build their brands. And that's like a whole thing and discussion in itself. But if you're not already streaming, if you're not already tweeting and making Instagram posts and interacting with people, then you're just setting yourself so far back from where you could potentially be. So that's like the social space is something that people really need to start taking advantage of. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest factors into getting the attention of the league and the right people.
And also in a positive way, too. Obviously, we saw some of the guys who did get dropped from the grouping because of maybe it not being in such a positive manner with the socials and things like that. So, obviously, you want to take note of what you're doing. And if you weren't doing something probably that you should be doing, maybe you got to remove that and maybe work on it.
Delete all your tweets.
Yeah, I mean,
delete them all.
You just gotta know what you're tweeting. You should be tweeting stupid things.
It depends. I didn't have to delete anything.
Yeah, because you're not tweeting
stupid
things.
Just,
yeah.
You've already done a Twitter sweep before, though.
I mean, when I was like 13, I deleted tweets when I was like 13, but that's just because it was like I was like I don't know, it wasn't like recent. I did that like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I wasn't like scared of anything. It was just I wanted a new Twitter.
You just gotta be smart on what you put on the internet, and honestly, that goes for anyone.
All right, that was our exclusive interview with Adam the First. Happy to have you here. Thank you for coming out. Anything else you wanted to say to the great fans of the Yuck Cast?
Edit that out.
Definitely edit that out.
You're trash, Berg. Every time I...
Definitely edit... No.
Berg, you got it. You just want to edit shit out. You got it. Wrap us up. Take us home, Berg. You didn't say shit the whole episode. Take us home,
Carry us home.
Mute my mic.
Cut.
That's it. Thanks for coming on, boy. See you in the league.
Thanks for having me.
I just want to say a quick shout out to Adam or Kuda. Thank you for coming on to the Yuck Cast and hopping on the podcast. Like it was. Wait, what?
Redo that. Just shout out Adam. Yeah.
Oh, word. Shout out to Adam for coming on the podcast. Obviously, be sure to follow him on all his socials. Everything will be linked down in the description. It's pretty crazy just hearing, I guess, the behind the scenes and everything, and especially from his perspective, it's even cooler. Going where you wanted to be drafted, like, it's crazy. So, obviously, we're going to be watching him and the rest of the league this year. We'll be talking about it up on the Yuck Cast. So make sure you're following us. You've downloaded the podcast up on iTunes and you're subscribed over on there, on SoundCloud if that's your listening platform, or even up on the YouTube channel as well. Be sure to subscribe on there and let us know what you thought. And you can also tweet at us with hashtag YuckCast, and we'll answer questions in a Q&A in the next podcast episode. But we hope you guys did enjoy just this special edition. We had to do it once we contacted Adam and we could get him on. We had to do it, so hope you guys did enjoy. And for now, that is all from us over at the YuckCast. Myself, Cullenberg, Adam, formerly known as Kuda. That's all from us here at the YuckCast. I hope you guys did enjoy, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your days.